Hi, do you recognize this? It's a blanket, right? Looks like a blanket, and it is, in fact. I bought this in a little Mexican village in a place where Derek and I like to visit in the winter. Derek's my husband, and you'll hear him more later today. Here's another blanket. We sometimes call this a quilt, and this quilt was given to me by my mother, and it was made by women at a church in the town where I grew up. I want to show you one more. This is also a kind of blanket, and it was made by Alice, Derek's grandmother. She lived in this farmhouse that we're staying in during the summer and into the fall. She lived here for over 70 years, and she was very talented with needlework and crocheting. And every time I see those and play with that blanket, I think of her. Do you have a favorite blanket? How do you like to use yours? I like to crawl under mine when I'm cold or cuddle up to watch a movie. Sometimes I like to share blankets when I'm sitting around outside and telling stories around a campfire. I hope you have a special blanket too. Hi, my name is Laura, and I'm a member here at Central Presbyterian. Welcome to worship today. Today I want to tell you about a specific kind of blanket that's used in many villages in northern Alaska. Derek told me this story, and now I want to tell it to you. Here's where Alaska is, and the Inupiat people live in some of these villages way up north. They have lived on that land for over 25,000 years, and over that time they have developed some traditions that they still practice today. One of them involves a blanket, and that's the story I'm going to tell. Now, it's important to know that the Inupiat people use blankets every day like you and I do. But they also have some of these special traditions where they make blankets out of walrus skin that they take from walruses that they sometimes eat for meat. They carefully stitch these together and make something a little bit like a trampoline. Now, they don't have the springs and the metal stands on a trampoline like you might have seen before. Instead, it's people who hold up the edges of this blanket and pull it tight to make it like a trampoline. They call it a blanket toss because they invite somebody to get on, usually a young person, to get on the blanket in the center, and then they pull and tug to send that person high in the air. Can you imagine that? Why don't you close your eyes and think about it with me for a minute? Think about the people you know and love, the older teens or adults who might be standing around your blanket. One of them turns to you and says, "It's your turn." You're not scared, you're actually kind of excited. You've been waiting for this. So you take their hand and you get up onto the blanket. You look around at the joy in their faces, and then the crowd gets kind of quiet. An elder starts to say, "One," and everybody tugs and pulls on the blanket. He says "two," and the group tugs again, all in rhythm. Then he says, "Fly!" and the group pulls hard and sends you over 20 feet in the air, where you can see over trees and buildings. Maybe you even see further to the water, well beyond the horizon. As you fly high, you aren't really scared, and you take it all in. As you begin to gently fall back, the group catches you as they hold the blanket. Sounds kind of fun, huh? Well, we call it the blanket toss, but the Inupiat call it nalukatak. Everybody gets a turn if they want one. And Derek's had a chance to have that kind of turn. When he lived and worked in Alaska, and he even met a world-class blanket toss champion of the American Indian Eskimo Games. Pretty cool. You know, a long time ago, before ship spyglasses and binoculars, the blanket toss was a way for people to see far beyond the horizon to scout for food. The elders remind us it took a lot of people to see farther. It was more than what one person can do by themselves. Today, the blanket represents many values that the Inupiat have. including how we all need each other. Of course, these are our values too. The message in our scripture for today talks about how we are stronger together. Much like the blanket toss, we can think about how we are stronger when we are connected to other people, especially people who care about us. Later in today's message in worship, you'll hear Derek use the word resilience. You may have also heard other people use that word recently because these are difficult times when so many plans change, when some people have gotten sick from COVID-19, and when you don't necessarily know when school or other events are going to happen or how they're going to happen. Resilience means we can find a way to heal when we're hurt, to try again or move forward, even when things get tough. Many people describe resilience as bouncing back when hard things happen, like when we pop back up after we fall. Resilience is a good thing, and one of the ways we get more resilience is by being supported and connected to other people. People who see what's special about us and know we can do strong and important things. Or it could be people who care about us and remind us about what we can do even when we forget. These people are like the people in the story who hold up your blanket. They work together to catch us when we fall, and that allows us to bounce back and sometimes even go higher and see things we would never see if we stayed standing on the ground. Whether you see it or not, there are lots of people around you who love you, including so many of us at this church. That's one of the ways God is with us, through these kinds of connections with other people. So the next time you are having a hard day, think about the caring adults in your life and in your family or outside your family that support you. Just by remembering their love and support and the special way they show you their love, you'll get better at bouncing. If you want to read a story about the blanket toss, you might read a beautiful book called Charlie and the Blanket Toss by Tricia Brown. You can also download our pictures that I showed you of the blanket toss and add your own colors. Maybe you'll send a picture of your coloring to Katie, who can decorate our walls with your art. Thank you for joining me today. You've brightened my day.